myself in the middle of the grove, but not really knowing where I was. I kept going and found all these little feeder streams to the main drainage that I was in, and realized that there were hundreds of these little headwater streams, that these were headwater groves.
We are at the southernmost extent of the temperate rainforest that starts up in Alaska, and it's a very narrow band along the coast all the way down here into the Redwoods. And this is a forest of giants that evolved over 100 million years.
For me, entering a place like that is calling back the past, calling back the roots of this land. 10 people could hold hands around one of these ancient trees, and you look up into the canopy and you can't even see the top of it.
When you're looking at the Headwaters Forest, what you're looking at is a redwood wilderness, some of the last redwood wilderness that exists on Earth.
Trees constitute to 1% or less than 1% of the biodiversity of a forest. You've got to look at a forest not only as the trees but also everything else, including the lichens, the mosses, the amphibians, the orchids, the epiphytes, the brambles, all of it go to make a forest.
Forests have much more value standing than they do in truck beds. In terms of flood control, water catchment, biodiversity, in terms of their ability to sequester carbon, ability to cleanse the air, purify water as well. It's service. It is the flow of services from nature. And those flows of services are not things that we can bottle or cap or drill or pump or cut.
Redwood forests are also the source of a commodity that could prove their undoing. The strong, tightly grained, pest-resistant wood harvested from trees hundreds of years old. Logging activities over the past 150 years have reduced the temperate coastal rainforest from a high of over 2 million acres down to its present size of about 80,000 acres, most of it in parkland. In 1985, the Headwaters Forest, a pristine grove of old growth, belonged to the Murphy family, owners of the company holding the largest timber reserves in Humboldt County, Pacific Lumber.
You have to visualize that Pacific Lumber was at that point an extraordinary local institution. Because of the policies that A.S. Murphy had set up at Pacific Lumber, it had largely escaped the kind of fly-by-night character of work in the timber business. During the 1930s, A.S. Murphy had adopted what he called selective cut, which means essentially that instead of going into a stand of trees and cutting them all down, which is what a clear cut is, they would identify the biggest and healthiest ones, save those, and cut 1% of the rest of the trees in that stand, and so that there was never a naked slope